Alright, so now that I showed you guys how to shoot with a camera, I want to talk about post-processing. And really there's two ways to go about this. First of all, the question is whether you shot in RAW or if you shot in JPEG. Now, I know most people will shoot in JPEG, and that's probably the quickest way, but for this first part of the video, I'm going to walk you through my process, which was shooting in RAW. So, there's many reasons why you would want to shoot in RAW, and the first one is because I want to maximize the potential of my DSLR's sensor. And for me, shooting in JPEG is really, why would I shoot in JPEG? Why would I have a DSLR if I'm just going to be shooting in JPEG? But anyways, you can retain more information with a RAW file and make a better picture, in my opinion. Also, it saves your ass if you make some mistakes. Okay, so here I opened up Adobe Lightroom. Remember, if you shot in JPEG, you might not have to do this, but since I shot RAW, it requires that I edit the pictures. So here we have our first picture. As you can see, it's very flat, but RAW files have a lot of leeway, so you can more or less change the picture, not really changing, but you're able to see more than what the camera you're able to do more with the picture than what the camera can do, because the camera doesn't know what's best usually. So we're just editing a little bit here. Of course, this is a real quick edit. Usually I'll take my time much more, but for the sake of this video, let's just do a really quick edit. Let's see, luminance, looking okay for a quick edit. Let's just add a graduated filter. Okay, so I just finished editing this picture. It's not the greatest, but I didn't spend so much time on it. But anyways, now that I have my editing ready, I can go to develop settings, copy settings, and select all, develop settings, paste settings. And what that's going to do is copy all the settings that you did for the first picture and paste them to the rest of your pictures over here. Now we are ready to export, so file, export. And here is where you have different options. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do a time lapse in both Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. And it's important to know that if you have Premiere Pro, you're gonna want to export in JPEG. I use Adobe After Effects and I want the maximum quality, so I usually export in TIFF and a maximum size. But for this video, I'm going to export as JPEG, just so that I can show you how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. Because remember, if you export in TIFF, which is the maximum quality, you won't be able to do a time lapse with that file in Adobe Premiere, only in After Effects. So once we are ready, we can click export, and once that's done, I'll show you guys how to do the portion of Adobe Premiere. Okay, so now that we have our JPEGs, we can hop into Adobe Premiere. Remember, I'm going to show you how to use both Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. I'm using Adobe Premiere because it has problems with TIFFs as time lapses, whereas Adobe After Effects doesn't. I usually export as TIFFs, but since I know most people will use JPEGs, I'm going to show you how to do it with Adobe Premiere. So go ahead and open a new project, label it whatever. You can set your settings or choose a preset. I already have my settings here, so I am not going to go into specifics. That's another video. So in the project bin, just go to import, find your time-lapse folder wherever it is, click on the first picture, click on image sequence, click open, and that should be your time-lapse video. There you go. So depending on how many pictures you took, you're gonna have a long or short time lapse. But there it is. It is pretty simple. And if you're unhappy with the speed, you can always go to modify, interpret footage, and change the frame rate. There you go. File, export, and you're done with your time-lapse video. I'm going to take the time right now to talk about a problem you might encounter. Now, sometimes when you import a file sequence, like an image sequence, when you get the pictures, when you get the file in the project folder, you might notice it's not a time-lapse video. Now, this doesn't mean something is wrong with your computer. It means that the numbering is incorrect. As you can see right here, I have very perfectly sequential numbering, which makes it very easy for Premiere Pro to get the files. But for example, let's see here, time lapses, GoPro time lapse. Here we have a GoPro time lapse, and as you can see, the numbering is separated by this dash, and that actually makes things a little bit harder when I go to image sequence. As you can see, it's not a time lapse, it's just one picture. So just remember, if you have trouble with your time-lapse importing and trying to make it work in Premiere Pro, it's probably because of the naming of the file. If I were to interpret the file directly from the GoPro, I wouldn't probably have this problem, but since I edited these pictures in Lightroom and I chose them to be renamed like this, I have an issue and I have to re-export them just exactly as they were. So I just wanted to add that. Okay, so now we're in Adobe After Effects. As I mentioned before, if you export it as TIFFs in Lightroom like I did, you can't do a time-lapse file in Premiere Pro, so After Effects can handle the files. And the reason you would want to export as TIFFs is because you want to maintain the maximum quality, just like the camera. So go ahead, go to new project. Let's see, new project. Oh wait, what? No, new composition, sorry. Let's do 3 seconds here. Go ahead and import file, and once again, just like Premiere Pro, highlight the first picture, go to force TIFF sequence, and if for some reason that doesn't work, just go to force out alphabetical order. It doesn't really matter most of the time, so let's do that. And you should have, as you can see here, is a 6-second time lapse, but if you go to right click, interpret footage main, you can change the frame rate and make your time lapse slower or faster. So if you go for a slower time lapse, it's gonna make it longer, and if you make it high frame rate, it's gonna go much faster, more like my video. My video was mostly 99 frames a second, but let's just do that. Put it on your timeline, right click, transform, fit to comp, and you're set. Now, before you export, you want to make sure you change the depth, because there's no point in exporting as TIFF if you're just going to be exporting the video at 8 bits. You want to go for 16 bits, since I may be wrong, but I believe TIFFs are 14-bit color depth, so that will make you maintain the highest quality when you export. And that's all. I mean, the benefit of exporting with Adobe After Effects is, as small files, you just save your time-lapse files until you have a collection of them, and then you can open a new project in Premiere Pro and put them all together like I did. So I hope you guys found this useful. Last step, just file, export, add to render queue, and voila.